All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this week's webinar, Stronger Sales Systems with Digital Signatures. I just wanted to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Madeline. I'm going to be your host today. Our conversation is on remote and digital signatures. All right. I'm going to introduce our speaker for today, Veronica Bouchard. Veronica is our LEAP product knowledge expert. You'll find Veronica empowering contractors at our LEAP weekly webinars, the LEAP Academy weekly virtual training courses. She's been training the industry on how to transform the business by going digital for the past 3 years, helping contractors reduce errors and streamline their process. Please help me welcome Veronica.
Thank you, Maddie. All right, I'm so happy to be here. And if you guys haven't noticed, I also have another person with me today, and that is Samuel Summers. So Sam has been in the remodeling industry since 2010. He obtained his degree in marketing from Stevenson University. He has 6 years of experience installing in the field before he was hired at Windstar Remodeling as a sales manager. He lives right here in Maryland with his wife and 2 daughters. Now, Windstar is actually one of our returning customers. They use digital signature in their day-to-day sales process. So Sam, could you tell us a little bit about your journey? How did you end up in the remodeling industry?
So I actually started with in the restaurant industry, like a lot of us do in this industry. And basically I started working and looking, trying to find something that really fit my style of work. Windstar came along, they offered me a job actually as a sales manager off the bat. We got real busy. They asked me to go do installs, and that ended up being a 6-year process. So for about the past 4 or 5 years, I've been in full-time sales manager position with them. So I was kind of there when we first, used Leap in the beginning. And then, we transitioned to another company, and, now we're back home. So
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. It sounds like you have a lot of experience, not only in the managing part of things, but also in the install. So you've kind of seen it all. Now, before we jump into today's topic, which is secure signatures, I do have some statistics to share with you guys. So when you do transition over to digital signatures, you can expect to see a lot of savings. For one thing, you should see on average about a $20 savings per document. And also in man hours, 22,000 hours saved annually is what you should expect to see when you switch over to digital signatures. Now, just some examples from Lunar Pen. Handwritten paper contracts can take on average 5 days to obtain signatures, whereas digitally signed documents on average take about 37 minutes. So that is a huge time-saving factor. Not only that, the ease of using digital signatures far outweighs the experience of signing traditionally. Now, I'm going to be getting into some reasons why asking customers to sign digitally actually carries a lot more value than signing in person, and why home service contractors are using Leap to do this. All right, so Sam, I have some questions for you. How have you seen your company grow since using Leap and our digital signature feature, Leap Secure Sign?
So with the secure signature, there are benefits, especially for the younger generation. They're much more comfortable with using everything digitally. Of course, everybody runs into, send me an email, send me the proposal by email, so on and so forth. We use the whole process of signature captures, from everything from, acknowledging that they don't want, say, like a safety feature in their we do wet areas, so bathroom remodeling. So say they don't want grab bars, we're able to get a secure signature, that's encrypted, that says that, if we ever do have to, follow up on it, that they don't want, that in their contract, that they didn't want us to do it. As far as growing it, like you said, it's so much easier to send somebody an email. It eliminates, having to go back out and, use more man hours, especially with gas the way it is now, at least here in Maryland. So as far as growing, we're able to run a much tighter ship since we've been doing pretty much about 90% now of digital signatures. So it really does help us allow for less use of time, and the allocation of the time is much better. So we're able to go see more customers, sign more contracts, make more money.
Yeah, I've heard some great feedback about how that signature process and millennials really, they appreciate signing digitally over in-person traditional. Now, I do want to circle back. Leap Secure Sign, how do you find that it shortens that sales process?
So with the sales process, it comes up at the end of whether, you're doing your, so we have, like I said, our signatures are in our proposals as well as our contract agreements. And if, not for anything else, just to get the kind of the chicken egg effect of, the customer gets used to signing things. So we do it on our proposals and we do it on our contracts as well. So that really helps them, kind of, it's when they do go to sign their contract, it's the second time they've been through it. So it's real easy for them. And then as far as it being quick, you don't have to, flip through pages. Our contracts on average are between 12 and 15 pages. So that secure sign being able to just hit next and it automatically flies to the next place where you need the signature. And it's nice. It gives them a little synopsis of what they're agreeing to or what they're signing for. It really speeds up the process. You don't have to wait for anything to print out or go through and flip through pages and pages. So it really does shorten the process for sure.
Yeah, no more having to use little sticky notes or post-it notes to tag the pages and
Right.
find where all those signatures and initials are, and even just missing an initial field. Like, it really helps prevent those types of errors as well. Now,
For
we
sure.
do have a little poll here that we're going to be launching in just a second. I want to know, how confident are you guys in the length of your sales process? So how long it takes to create those contracts and sign them, especially for you guys that are still using traditional paper copies. You should see this little poll pop up on your screen. Me and Sam, we just want to know how confident you are in that process. All right, looks like we are getting some responses back. All right, so a lot of you are feeling confident in the length of that process. I do think that kind of harkens back to the poll we had at the beginning of today's webinar. A lot of you guys are already using digital signatures, so I'm sure this is helping you guys speed up that process, really prevent errors and all of that good stuff. All right, so Sam, I have some more questions for you. So do you find that homeowners like digital signatures more?
Yes, I would say probably a solid 85 to 90% of the customers, especially now, we don't have to hand them a pen with, the climate that we're in right now. They can sign with their finger. So that's obviously really helpful, again, with what we're going through right now. The only people that really sometimes kind of have a little bit of an issue with, and we still will, give them paper contracts, is your older generation. Some of them just don't get it. Some of them don't, think it's safe. So you do run into a little bit of issues there sometimes. I would say, it's once in a blue moon, to be honest. And at least our, target demo is more of the, mid-range homeowners. So as far as, people that I've personally spoken to, I may speak to one or two homeowners every 6 months that is not a fan of it. And then, we take, those measures needed to gain their trust and whatnot. But I would say on the most part, about 90% of the people, do enjoy the digital signatures and the security with that.
Gotcha. All right. And, before you were using Leap and the Leap Secure Sign to get those digital signatures, I'm sure you experienced that process of signing manually, physically in person a lot more frequently. How exactly does that experience with the customer change when you went from those in-person, traditionally signed documents to the digital ones?
I think, at least from what I've heard from my sales guys, is that it's become more of a almost like a social gathering, as opposed to, you're signing your life away. Again, our contracts are long, or 12 to 15 pages. So it can get a little tedious. When it's something on an iPad, it really does kind of seem like a smoother process. they're not trudging through and, reading through 15 pages and then, sign here and, read another 4 pages. So I think the process became more of, it went from a teacher student kind of experience to more of a, I can talk about whatever I want. You can ask me any questions while you're signing with your finger. So it became a lot more pleasant experience, I believe, at least from what I've heard from my guys.
Yeah, and at this point in the century that we're in, people are so used to doing things digitally now, signing paperwork, doing all of I even did my taxes on my phone this past weekend. So people are getting a lot more comfortable using technology for this sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I flew back in from Austin, Texas yesterday, and in Austin I wanted some pizza. I couldn't even order pizza at the register because they don't have a register. They had a kiosk. So it was the first time I had seen that, but I guess pretty much everybody's moving that way, including the food service industry.
Right. Yeah, we're seeing it everywhere. Now, tell me a little bit about that switch from the old process to this new process of using Leap Secure Sign. Was it easy? What did that look like?
Yes, so I'm blessed. Most of my sales guys are in that mid range of age, so I didn't really have to work too hard to get some of the older guys up to speed on the digital process. Again, that's more towards the homeowner side that you sometimes have to work more on that for. We did use a different company in the past, like I said, in between Leap. When we were first with Leap, they were just starting and whatnot, and it didn't really fit to where we were as a company at the time. We went away for about 2 years, and then when we came back, which was really nice, is everything that we had said to you guys, you had taken to heart, and basically had gone above and beyond what we needed. So we came back, and it was a perfect match for us. The other company that we used, they did have a digital signature process. Unfortunately, it wasn't in their app. It was like you went to a website, you had to have a an internet connection, which is, if anybody's been in a home recently, it's getting better, but still a lot of people don't have Wi-Fi, or you have a terrible cell signal. So the fact that it was, in the app was great because, you don't have to go to someone else's website. In fact, the one that we used at the end, after you signed your document, it took you to their Facebook page and asked you to log in and like the page. So it was actually a terrible process, which was really annoying for pretty much everybody involved. But yeah, the process of switching from paper to digital, it's really a breeze.
That's awesome. I'm so excited that you guys decide to come back. And yeah, we do like to take those suggestions really seriously, giving that to our product team to continue and better our system. And really, it's so nice that our platform works off of Wi-Fi, because so often you have people driving out to these appointments, who knows where the internet connection is spotty, but we still have the ability to sign those signatures digitally or have them send for the remote signatures as soon as you connect back to Wi-Fi. So everyone does find that feature so useful, especially if you live in an area of the country where Wi-Fi can be really spotty, or cell phone service and that sort of thing. Now, I do have another question for you for the digital signatures. How many signatures or digital signatures do you guys capture in a month?
So again, it's about 90% of our contracts that we sign are digital. On average, we shoot for about between 20 to 40 a month. So, take that, extrapolate it out. I would say, I think the last one that we did a paper copy on was in the middle of January. Everything, before that, probably from October to January, was all digital. So in the past 6 months, I think we've done two that weren't digital. So everything else is digital. It's one of those things, as a sales manager, I hate when a request comes in for a paper copy. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be, a lot more work than I wanted it to be. So, but yeah, I would say about 90% since we've been, doing digital signature capture.
Wow, that's amazing. What a huge rate of digital signatures. Do you think it helps you with your close rate as well?
I do. I know when we were doing just paper contracts, I think as a team, our close rate was right around 30. Currently we're sitting at like 35, between 35 and 36% close rate. So, and that's just off of issued, not from raw. So there has been a slight increase. I don't think if your guys are closing at, 30%, you're going to be closing at 40%. But there is a slight increase. And again, I think that, goes back to the middle generation that is real comfortable with it. It's something that, they're familiar with. So just that little bit of familiarity that kind of gains, your trust from the homeowner really goes a long way.
Yeah, and even just like little bump definitely helps out. Every little bit matters. Now, you did mention earlier that you tried out some other softwares in between using us. So how is Leap different compared to the other softwares that you've tried? I know you mentioned like the Wi-Fi thing.
Yeah, so we used another company in the interim, and they were, I would say, the main thing that I noticed the difference between Leap and the other company was that we would send in, an issue and say, hey, such and such isn't working. For example, our financing information wasn't linking over to our finance app. And they said, all right, that's great. It took them about a week. They emailed us back and said, all right, send us your finance information, log in, and we'll get it fixed. So I sent it over, and another week went by and I emailed back and I was like, hey, like any update on this? And then it was like another week went by and then they responded back and were like, yeah, we have the PDF ready. And I was like, what are we talking about, PDF? So there was a lot of like miscommunication. And in fact, that was one of the reasons why we came back to look at Leap was from the time that you opened a complaint with them to the time that it got resolved was, I ended up sending over our finance information 7 separate times. And when we left our contract with them, they still hadn't had it updated. So I've had, I think, 2 different occasions where I've went to the Leap support team and by the next 20 minutes, I got a response. So that was one of the big things that for me was just, in this industry, a lot of times, you need something to move really quickly. And, Leap is great because even with something, there was one time I forgot to save something and it was my fault, but, Leap was able to help me out, quickly and I realized my mistake. So I was glad that I was able to get an answer in 20 minutes rather than 20 weeks. Other than that, obviously you guys are right down the road. So, we can, whenever we want, go to the office if we have any issues. But yeah, I think the whole process really, the other companies, more power to them. And if you guys use them already, great. I'm not saying, go and burn all your bridges. I know that company in particular, we would never go back to. But we, Leap didn't burn any bridges when we left the first time. So it made it a nice, to come back and to have everything, working as we needed it now.
Oh, that's awesome. And, since we are so close to you, I suppose if our support team ever, for whatever reason, stopped responding, you could just come down here, like kick down the door and be like, hey, I need your help.
Yeah, exactly. We'll come bang down the door for you.
Good. All right. So that's it for my questions for you, Sam. We are going to be taking questions from the chat. So if you guys have questions for Sam or myself, I want you to type that into the webinar chat for me. And while we wait for some questions to come, I guess I do have one more question for Sam. So digital signatures, it's just one little feature of Leap. Do you have any other favorite features or features that really help you out during the sales process?
So from the back end, I will say when people, come to Leap, the onboarding process you want to set some time aside for it. And I think a little naive to the length of the process that it would take. However, once you get that process down pat, it's real easy. So for example, I just changed all our pricing for a certain section of our bathrooms. And from the time that I got into the office today at 8 o'clock to, I think it took me till like maybe 9:30, I had entered in probably 200 different items, had already linked them to the contract, linked them to the proposal, sent my guys, group me and was like, hey, update your iPads. And the nice thing about Leap is that everything updates in real time. So they hit one button on their iPad, everything's changed. So it made it real nice and easy. I think, you have your mass price change, which of course everybody has. I like the way that Leap, has it with, you can add a percentage and change it, the whole thing. Other than that, I'm still waiting to find something on Leap that I don't like. But as soon as I do, I'll let you guys know.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, everyone finds it really useful that when you do make those pricing changes, all you have to do is be like, guys, refresh your iPads for me. And then boom, they have all the new products and all the new pricing. And yes, the mass price change tool does help people maintain those prices. I'm sure prices these past couple years have been like crazy. So that tool has helped out so many people maintain those prices. All right,
sure.
Maddie,
I have a question for you, Sam. I would like to know if you have faced any challenges going from paper to the digital signature. Any, bad responses from customers, any bad responses from your salespeople, just any challenges that you could have possibly faced making the transition?
So we did have an older gentleman that sold for us that was very against the change to digital. Now, thankfully, coupled with that, he was our worst salesperson on the force. So his adamancy against it was a very nice way to kind of get him out without, really making any sort of sacrifices on our side. But other than that, all the guys love it. It's very easy. We do all our sketches on the iPad. You can see pricing. Our company, we're a little bit different than some other remodelers. We're very upfront with people. If you want to see our price book, we're more than happy to show it to you. We're probably your least expensive in the Maryland area. And that's just because we run a really tight ship. So we pretty much pull the rug out from every other company in the industry on pricing. So with that, our guys, they sign a lot of contracts. We have a smaller force, of sales guys. So they're kept pretty busy, and the ability for me not to have to get on them to, make sure you're turning paperwork in and whatnot. That was one of the major headaches was, on a Friday, somebody signs, 2 contracts and then they go out and drink. And then, you're kind of like, where's the contract at, and you're waiting, and it's Monday afternoon. And, so being able to, go log in on the backside on the dashboard, being able to see how long they spend on each, slide of your presentation, see how long they're in the financing side. There's a plethora of things that just make Leap, real easy for me, as far as it made my job a lot easier, which, don't tell my boss, but, it made my job a lot easier and made it a lot easier for me to report, even numbers back to my boss.
I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you for sharing that experience. And thank you so much for joining us today. It was really great to have a customer's perspective, as well as the product expert here, Veronica. I want to know from our guests that are joining us today, after hearing Sam's testimony and a little bit about digital signatures from Veronica, would you be willing to and wanting to schedule a demo with Leap to learn about more of our digital signature process, but also just more about Leap in general? I'm going to launch a poll here if you want to go ahead and give me an answer. For joining our webinar today, we do have a special going on for you. If you were to put yes in this poll, we would send you a gift card for lunch on us. And if we end up being a good match and you wanted to join the Leap, be a part of the Leap team, we would be giving you $500 off towards your Leap subscription. Perfect. And some answers in here. All right. Perfect. Thank you for putting those answers in for us. If you responded yes, someone from our team will be cutting to you very shortly, within the next 24 hours to help set up that demo for you. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Veronica and Sam for such a great presentation. Today's webinar is brought to you by Leap. Leap is a sales software that reduces errors and redundancies that slow down your sales process. Whether you're in the roofing, windows, siding, flooring, kitchen, bath, or any other home service, you can use the power of Leap to make your customizable sales platform your own. With Leap, you can take documents, estimates, brochures, personal checks, handwritten notes, measurements, and put them all in a digital location to power your business. Make sure you keep an eye out for the next week's webinar, A Solar Strategy to Cultivate Your Business by Kimba Garcia. Thank you again for being here. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we look forward to seeing you next week.